Thank you. Okay, hi everyone. Thanks for attending. I wanted to, just to give you context, I've worked only in startups, um, primarily in startups, different types of products. The common denominator was that they were all software products. The core of them was software. I've built three of my own software products, and so anything that I'm telling you today is from experience and my mistakes. Um, they say better to learn from others' mistakes as opposed to your own, but no matter how much you know, you will make mistakes. Um, I knew a lot of things and I still did them wrong, so um, inevitably you will learn from some of the mistakes, but it's best to keep these in mind throughout your time building. So the first thing I want to say, I have a couple of quotes in here, but one of them is something that I really stand by, is if you're going to put all the time, effort, sweat, blood, and tears into your startup, which you are, you should, you may as well do something unique and not try to go into these huge competitive markets. And of course, the number one piece of advice or strategy here is to niche. Find one segment of the market that you can own. Start small. Facebook started just on Harvard campus, and Amazon started just selling books online, and now they both pretty much run the world. So the idea is, don't try to compete straight out the box with everyone. And the reason I'm saying this as part of the product development is because it's exactly aligned with how you choose what you choose to build and when. And that's what brings me to this slide, which is, I'm sure you've heard of red ocean, blue ocean, which is basically you can either play in the red ocean, which is a competitive market, or you can play in the blue ocean, and the red is blood, and the blue is finding your own, creating your own market, creating your own category or subcategory. And there's a book on this and whole MBA courses on this, but the idea is you use this matrix and you map out your feature set of your product or your roadmap, and you start with the sticky notes, putting them on each of these four these quadrants, and basically it'll help you to realize where you are in terms of differentiation, or are you just competing, or are you on a unique journey? So it's something that I really believe in is documenting your product philosophy, internal philosophy of based on your company, like what is our mission, right? And how does our product help us achieve that mission, and what are our non-negotiables? These are important to keep you focused, and what will distract us down the line, these types of risks. And part of this exercise would be to outline your product risks. So, for example, part of our product, we do these micro surveys to employees. And the biggest risk there is employees not filling them out. No data, no product. So we try to focus and prioritize our time into focusing on that risk. And you eliminate that risk, and you go to the next risk. So all of the risks that your product has. There's an example of our product philosophy, very high level, people first, and teams of individuals, and these keep us focused in terms of the features that we decide to build. And then in terms of the frameworks, I'm talking here less about agile, Kanban, Scrum, or whatever types of frameworks. I'm talking more about like how do we decide on a new feature in our company and in our team? One of the frameworks that we use is now, soon, and someday. You have a lot of ideas all the time. And sometimes you just got to say, if we'll do this someday, we'll do this soon. And you very simply bucket your roadmap into now, soon, and someday, and try not to get, you know, put off track with new shiny ideas. Another one is building skateboards, and that means that we're always building very lightweight features and not too scalable, because there will be ultimately, no matter how much research you do, no matter how confident you are, you will be rebuilding, you will waste. And the biggest thing is, when building, is write as least code as possible. So when you start, if you're especially an engineer, you start building a company and you start going right in code. I'm sure you covered this in custom development track about, you know, lean startup or just customer development in terms of building, but write as least code as possible. You come up with a feature, wireframe it, design it, draw it. Don't be overly like, you know, custom UI. Show it to people before you code anything. Again, this is an example of like the design values, right? We want to have a minimalistic tool. We want everything to be micro, low touch, quick. We want it to look like a consumer app, even though it's an enterprise app. And we just have these rules that when we're building a new feature, we ask ourselves these questions, right? And we ask ourselves, is it helping teams to perform better? Is it making managers' jobs easier? From the technical and UX, can the user navigate without a video tutorial? So if somebody comes up with an amazing feature, I say, well, are we going to need a tutorial for this, or can the user just, you know, do it very easily? So these types of things help us when building product. And going back to what I said about keeping it lean, is there's so much out there now. There's so much software that exists, so much open source, so many templates. It's incredible. You can build an app without writing one line of code now. You don't have to be an engineer to build an app anymore. There's tools like Bubble that, you know, can build these apps for you. So on top of that, I'm saying, using what exists from competitors. If you're building something that you have competitors or something exists, rather just copy it initially and don't try to reinvent the wheel. So when it comes to UI specifically, you know, use Bootstrap, use themes. You shouldn't, at this stage, like, never be developing custom websites, you know. It's just such a waste of time. Things will change, and it's just going to cost resources, time, and money until you have, you know, a couple $100,000 or millions of dollars in the bank, and you have loads of employees that, you know, need tasks. Then you can start doing the custom stuff. And then I think this is, you know, in the end, basically, it's good to monitor competition, but not to be like obsessed with them and trying to copy everything they do. So it's good to have a good awareness of the market and what's happening and trends, but don't just, you know, are they doing this? We got to do this, and just add things into your backlog from them. This is the final one, which is being data driven about building products. So internally tracking your development cycles, how many interviews we're having per week, you know, are we building skateboards? Like, we measure that every week. Externally, you obviously want to measure the usage of different features using heat maps, using customer voting on your backlog, and then looking at, if you use, let's say, Intercom or articles that you have for FAQs, looking at how many people are clicking on those ones, and that's the area that people are obviously lost in. And then a final tips is appoint internally like a chief focus officer that's always looking at, especially if you're a solo founder, always looking at your backlog and reprioritizing. The biggest thing is just constantly prioritization and reprioritization, and then make 2 customer friends that you can always just send a quick email, put them on your Slack even, and be like, you know, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And as a CEO, lastly, your job is to manage expectations from the customers and from yourself. Otherwise, you'll always be disappointed, and always just pad 30% on estimations you get from developers, whether they're internal or external, or if it's your partner, best friend, pad it, because otherwise you'll be disappointed. And I've left some resources there for you guys to access afterwards. Thank you.